Hey guys, back with another video, an impressions review on Chrono Cross for the PS1. Now this is a game I've been wanting to play for a long time. Like I've said before, I've missed out on like the entire PS1 and PS2 libraries as far as JRPGs go, and Chrono Cross was one of the notable games. And now I don't have any game to show. I don't own it on the PS1. It's actually not that expensive. I probably should just get it. I did play it on an emulator, and I didn't know that the Vita, like you could get it on the Vita or PS3. So I'm gonna probably actually maybe do that. I kind of wish I played it on the Vita. I didn't know it was on there. It's only $10 too, which is a hell of a deal considering how fantastic this game is. I mean, there's a lot to say about Chrono Cross, and this video could go on for quite a long time. Obviously, it seems to get like a love it or hate it reception. A lot of people, I guess, were disappointed with it. As the follow-up to Chrono Trigger, although it's not a direct sequel. There's a lot more tie-ins to Chrono Trigger than I was expecting playing this. I always assumed that it had like nothing to do with Chrono Trigger, and that's why people hated it. But to be honest, I don't know why people hate this game. I loved it. Whether I like it better than Chrono Trigger, I don't know. It's tough because they both have their strengths, and well, I'd say Chrono Cross might have more weaknesses overall than Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is a more consistent game, but I gotta say the strengths of Chrono Cross, the highs of Chrono Cross, are far greater, I think, than in Chrono Trigger. But I don't want to make this a video where I'm just comparing Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Talk about Chrono Cross. This is going to be a kind of a review for people that haven't played it, though I assume most people have played it. It's a shame that it took me so long to get to it. But yeah, I fucking loved this game. I was talking to Holy Kale 1 like the entire time I was playing through it, and after finishing it, I talked to him a bunch. It's one of those games where I was just I completed it, and then I just went on the internet looking up all the information I could about this game and the story, because the story in this game is very complex. It starts out simple enough. You play a young, I think he's 17 years old, a young blue-haired boy named Surge, in a peaceful village. This game's got like a tropical setting, and you just have like a normal life with your mother. When all of a sudden you kind of get warped to an alternate dimension, a whole other timeline where Surge died 10 years ago, so you're not supposed to exist, and these people in this new dimension, it's called another world, whereas your dimension is called the home world. So you got to kind of figure out why you got warped there, and I don't want to spoil more than that for the people that haven't played this game. Let's just say it gets pretty damn complex. And I think it might be one of the reasons, at least from what I've seen, that why people don't like it. Because Chrono Trigger is admittedly a very simple storyline. I mean, it's very self-contained, and whereas this is very complex, like I said before, and convoluted. Which convoluted, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of great plot twists here, and overall, I really enjoyed the story. I'm gonna talk a bit about the ending, but not what happens, but how I thought like the pacing towards the end was pretty bad. But like there's a twist, like it's like a little less than midway that I was not expecting at all. It was an amazing plot twist, and I was just like, wow, holy shit. And it really made it, I was engaged throughout with this game. It's got kind of a slow start, but once that plot twist happens, I was all in. There's also like a boss battle midway where an amazing song plays with it. I'll talk about that in the music when I talk about the music, but that was a very memorable moment to me. The hardest boss in the game too, I thought. But I talked about the ending because this story is kind of simple up until like a certain point. The ending, basically, they throw a shit ton of information at you all at once, like right before the final boss, and it's a lot to grasp, and I was utterly confused when I got to this point. And I got kind of frustrated too, because I was able to follow along with the plot, then all of a sudden I just couldn't. I fought the final boss, and then the ending comes up, which I thought was decent, and then that was it. And I was very confused and frustrated because the pacing is pretty bad towards the end, the direction and pacing towards the end, and that's a common complaint with this game. So at that point, I just went on the internet, read an entire plot outline, looked up people's opinions on the story. I mean, you know, it's the story doesn't give you, you know, every answer you're looking for. So if you want like a story where you're given concrete answers to every one of your questions, Chrono Cross is not going to be that. It doesn't have that type of story. But once I kind of understood what went on, you know, the more I read about the story, the more it made sense, and the more I enjoyed it. I just wish they kind of spread out the information they throw at you at the end of the game a bit more. You know, maybe the game was, you know, they were running out of time. They had to get it to stores, so they had to, you know, put all that information in there at the very end, which is a shame. But overall, the story, it's, you know, packed with twists and turns. If you love convoluted, complex storylines with really powerful themes, it's a great one. The characters are fantastic too, and I guess another main complaint with this game a lot of people have is the amount of characters. You know, Chrono Trigger, very small party of characters. There's like, what, 43 characters? And yeah, a lot of them don't get a whole lot of character development, I'll be honest. You can't get all of them in a single playthrough. I think it takes like 3 playthroughs to get all the characters. But I found, you know, even though there's 43 characters, I'd say like a pretty large amount of them had excellent character development. I thought a lot of these characters were really interesting. My favorite character is it's probably Fargo, the pirate. I'm not going to spoil his character, but really excellent character growth with him. And, you know, obviously, you know, because the game's set in 2 different worlds, you get, like, a character you meet in one world will be different in the other world. And this game's got a lot of choices you make throughout the story, where, you know, you might make a choice in the beginning of the game, for instance, that I'm not going to spoil, but if you make that choice, there's certain characters that will join you from then on, and certain characters that won't, and you're going to have to do a new playthrough to get those other characters. Characters' personalities will change depending on the decisions you make. It's really inventive stuff for especially for when this game came out. I really liked like the overall non-linearity to this game, whether it be in the narrative or the actual exploration. But yeah, the story and characters I thought were fantastic. In fact, I'd say the characters overall I thought were more enjoyable than the characters in Chrono Trigger, which is crazy. I was not expecting that. The story itself, I think I might prefer the more, you know, the simplicity of Chrono Trigger's storyline. Not that I don't like complex and convoluted storylines, but for instance, Xenogears I thought had a more fascinating story overall. But I definitely really enjoyed the story, and any storyline that can get you like going on the internet and, you know, just looking for all this information, I think it did its job. I mean, it definitely affected me more than I thought, and I beat this game. Like it's been a while since I beat this game now, because I really wanted to reflect on it before I put this video out there, because the story is, you know, it's you know, it's complex, like I've said before, but I think overall, yeah, I definitely really love the story of Chrono Cross. The gameplay of Chrono Cross is quite a bit different, actually, compared to Chrono Trigger. I guess, well, like, you know, it's exploration based, where you've got the 2 alternate, you got the 2 different worlds, right? And, you know, I loved seeing like the differences between the 2 worlds, depending on the choices you make throughout the game. In fact, that's one of my favorite parts of the game. The world itself isn't too big. There's a decent amount of locations, but you do kind of revisit the same areas over and over again, because it's, you know, you got the 2 worlds. But I didn't mind it so much in this game because I loved seeing the differences. You know, you've got some dungeons, you got some very light puzzle solving, like you might like there's a certain dungeon, Fort Dragonia, where it's, you know, it's a bunch of different puzzles in there, but they're very simple. They're never tedious, which I liked. You know, a lot of RPGs tend to have, for me at least, really like tedious puzzles. This, you know, they're not going to rack your brain or anything, but I think I prefer that overall. There's no random encounters in this game, which is fantastic. So like Chrono Trigger, although a lot of battles you couldn't really avoid in Chrono Trigger, this game you can pretty much avoid them all. You know, it's very. I want to say there's something that kind of bothers me about the exploration, because the game's very non-linear. The game's direction is kind of spotty at times. I had to use a walkthrough like probably over 10 times in this game. Like, it's like they'll give you such a vague idea of where you're supposed to be going next at times that you know, I would often just check like every location to figure out what exactly I was supposed to be doing, and that could get a bit frustrating. But at the same time, it's kind of refreshing because, you know, there's so many RPGs these days that are so linear. So to get a game like this that like doesn't really hold your hand in terms of direction, it can be nice. There's a section later towards the end of the game where you have to. Well, I'm not going to spoil that, but there's 5 different. Well, not 5. Well, basically 5. Like 6 different creatures that you have to go and fight. And you know, they just set you on your way. They don't tell you how to reach any of these monsters. And it was actually pretty satisfying to figure out how to get to these monsters. There was one of them that I was surprised I was able to figure out how to get to it. So there's a satisfaction there to, like, you know, figuring out where you're supposed to be going. But at the same time, I gotta admit, there were times where I was frustrated. It definitely made the game feel a bit longer than it is. I mean, it took me like 38 hours to beat, which is fairly long. It's a fairly long game. There's a lot of side quests, obviously, to get all the characters. That's another fun thing of the game. You know, I liked recruiting all the characters, like in Suikoden. It's really fun to, you know, figure out how to get all the characters in this game. You know, I guess I should talk about the battle system now. This is where it's quite a bit different from Chrono Trigger. Well, I guess I should say too, like the 2 different worlds, like you can warp between them at any time eventually. Although sometimes they won't let you go from world to world. But in that sense, it's kind of more linear than Chrono Trigger. Since Chrono Trigger, you've got a bunch of different time periods you can jump to, where there's only 2. But I don't know. It's still, with all the characters and side quests and stuff, it still felt like less linear to me than Chrono Trigger for some reason. But the battle system, very different this time around. It's turn-based. It doesn't have like the ATB system, the action-based, you know, with the bars and stuff. So it's pure turn-based, where you have this combo system where you have like a light, medium, and heavy attack. And the light attack, you have a higher chance of pulling it off, whereas the heavy attack, you have a lower chance. If you use like 2 light attacks in a row, that middle attack, the chances of the medium attack hitting are going to be higher. Same with the heavy attack. So there's like a neat risk-reward system with like standard attacks in this game, which I really thought that was excellent. But other than that, you have the element system. This is the big hook with Chrono Cross, where each character has like an element grid where you kind of attach elements into this grid. You know, you got the fire, the water, you know, well, not really electric, but you know, you got all your different elements, and you put them to this grid. Each character in the game has like an innate element, which is what they're good with. So Surge starts with a white innate element. So if you use white elements, those are going to be stronger than other elements, and they have like weaknesses and strengths, right? So if you use a black element with Surge, it's going to be weak. It's going to be the weakest element because white is good against black. So there's a lot of customization there, where you're getting your characters, you're putting all these elements into this grid where you've got like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on elements, and you're kind of this bar is increasing during battle, where every time you attack, that element bar goes up. So if you're attacking, it will go to level 1, level 2, level 3. So if you get to level 7, you can pull off a level 7 element. Which costs stamina too. There's stamina in this game as well. I think it goes up to 7 stamina. The higher elements take more stamina. The lower elements take less. So there's like this, like I said before with the attacking, the whole system is based like on risk reward, right? If you want to kind of save up, keep attacking enemies to save up for a strong elemental attack, or do you want to keep using lighter ones? There's also like a field circle effect in battle that has like 3 different parts to it. Where if you use say a blue element, part of the field will be a blue element. This battle system can be a bit hard to explain. You'll see footage. I'll put footage up which will show the battle system. But if you get this field effect to say full blue, your blue elements are going to be stronger. They're going to be at their strongest. And enemies can kind of affect this field circle as well. So that adds an extra element of strategy. In fact, it's a very unique battle system overall. I've never seen anything really like it. the thing I can think, like, Baten Kaitos on the GameCube is the thing that comes to mind when I was playing it, because that's like a card battle RPG where you have like cards in a deck, and the elements kind of felt like cards to me that you constantly got throughout dungeons. You'd buy them in shops and things like that. So yeah, they were really fun to use. Every level up you get, well, not all the time, but most of the time you'll get an extra slot in your element grid. And the element grids eventually will become huge. Absolutely massive. Other than that, leveling up's weird in this game, actually. I should mention that. Every boss you fight, your characters will go up a level, and they'll gain like a bunch of points in strength, magic, and defense and whatnot. But other than that, you don't level up fighting enemies. Sometimes you'll fight enemies, you'll get like very small stat bonuses, like a point in health or a point in strength. But other than that, enemies aren't going to give you experience points. You're just leveling up from the bosses, which right away I didn't like that, but because of the way the battle system works, it fits with Chrono Cross. You won't mind it when you start playing the game. Now, whenever you do finish a battle, you can use your elements that you didn't use in battle, like your curative elements, to heal your party to the fullest. Which that kind of leads into one of my major complaints with like the battle system and the gameplay in general in this game. This game is ridiculously easy. Like, I'm talking one of the easiest RPGs I've ever played, and I was kind of surprised by that. I just found like the enemies didn't do much damage. You did a shit ton of damage to them. In fact, I died once throughout the entire game, and that was that one boss I mentioned before, which is like in the midpoint of the game, which is my favorite moment in the game. My favorite song plays during that boss battle. That was quite a difficult battle, but other than that, I didn't die once. And the difficulty, part of that too, is the fact that you can cure yourself to full after every enemy encounter, and there's so many healing elements that are really powerful. You've got your revive elements as well. I don't know, I just felt there was a significant lack of challenge to this game, there's not, for me, that's not, it's kind of a complaint, but for other people, it's probably not going to be a big deal. In fact, I'd say this is a great RPG for beginners. In fact, both Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, play them one right after the other. I think that's actually probably the best thing to do with these two games, because again, I hadn't played Chrono Trigger in a while, so a lot of the plot points of this game I was a bit confused, and part of that is because I hadn't played Chrono Trigger for so long. But yeah, the battle system's quite easy. It's fun, it's strategic, but at the same time, it's definitely easy. The inventory system is very good overall, but the thing I don't like about it is the elements, like how you allocate them. Because every time you level up, you gotta get your elements and put them into the grid, the new elements you have. And you're getting so many elements in this game, and there's no good way to organize them. And if you want to switch characters around, this is where it's at its most annoying, because if you take one of your characters, you're going to have to, say you have a red innate character, but you want to try another red innate character, you're going to have to get rid of that character, take all their elements off, and put those elements on the new character, and that takes so long. In fact, it kind of made me not want to mess around with characters, which that kind of sucked. About halfway through the game, I had my 3 characters that I really liked, and I had them set up perfectly, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to stick with these guys, because I really don't want to have to switch characters and constantly reallocate my elements. There's a way to reallocate elements, like it will take a bunch of different elements and automatically put them all on your character, but I found that was completely useless. Like, if you had a red innate character that's good with red elements, it'll give that character a bunch of blue ones and yellow ones, and it's just they were completely random which ones they gave the character, so I thought that was kind of useless. So that's where the inventory system is kind of annoying. In terms of equipping weapons and armor and accessories and stuff, though, it was fine. And I really like the look of the inventory in this game, the menus in general, actually. And speaking of weapons, there's a weapon upgrading system. You're not collecting weapons throughout the world. You're collecting materials from enemies, and you can use these materials to craft weapons. You can disassemble your weapons for more materials, so you're crafting the weapons and armor and accessories, which that was good. I liked that. And there's some really strong rainbow shell weapons towards the end of the game that I crafted, which were really badass. And I liked the customization in this game in general. There's a lot of experimentation. I mean, you're always in the element menus and the weapons menus and stuff like that. So it was really fun, and it was really fun to have your characters outfitted, and to have like, I don't know, it was just a really fun system, I thought, and I like how it kind of tied into the battle. And it ties into the world itself too. I don't want to spoil that, but it ties into the story and world itself, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, what else? I guess that's about it. The battle system is very fun. It kept me engaged throughout. I liked the exploration. I liked the light puzzle solving. The pacing is really good too, other than like the ending of the game where they dump a bunch of information at you. I found myself almost fairly addicted to the game. That's for sure. I guess a couple other things about the battle system. There are actually double and triple techs from Chrono Trigger. I didn't know this. Holy Kale 1 was mentioned this to me, and I didn't know. I mean, the game doesn't tell you about them, and unfortunately, there's only like very few characters that can do them, and it's very hard to guess which like 3 characters are going to have like a triple tech. And I'm sure a lot of... I didn't check which ones there were in the game. I saw some videos of them. They look really cool. It's a shame I couldn't really use any of them. I might have been able to. I don't know. I should have maybe checked more into that. Or I kind of wish the game had more of those or explained them a bit better. I don't know. Maybe they're overpowered. I don't know. There are summons as well. I didn't use them because they are very frustrating to use. Say you have like a level 9 blue summon. The only way to use it is to get the field effect to complete blue. I mentioned the field effect before. I like the field effect system overall, but it can be annoying to deal with too because the enemies always end up changing it on you when you're trying to get it to its fullest. It can be a kind of a pain in the ass to deal with at times, but it's definitely satisfying when you get it to work the way you want it to. And one of the bosses in the game, I'm not going to spoil it, you have to make use of that field effect system. Which was good. I kind of wish they might have made you use it a bit more. In fact, a lot of the bosses in this game are kind of, like, there's a ton of bosses in this game, but most of the time it's just like one singular enemy, and you just kind of keep going brute force on them, and they'll eventually die. I've said before I don't really like puzzle bosses in RPGs too much, but I guess this game could have used it a bit more. And one of the few puzzle bosses in the game, which is the final boss, was very frustrating because I didn't know how to kill the final boss. I had to look up how to do it, and it's one of those super obtuse things that I don't know how anyone possibly figured out. Well, I mean, I guess people could, and maybe I was just stupid, but I don't know. It seemed to me was one of those things that was utterly ridiculous. Like I would have never figured it out, and like absolutely never. But yeah, gameplay wise, it's fantastic. I really enjoyed the game gameplay wise and story wise. I guess visuals we'll talk about now. This is a beautiful game. I mean, I was pretty blown away by the visuals, especially considering this is a PS1 game. 3D character models on with 2D, well not 2D, well kind of, pre-rendered backgrounds that look stunning. But I think the art direction is what makes this game look so great. Like I said before, it's like a tropical setting, but there's more to it than that. There's a lot of variety in these locations, and I haven't seen, like, it's really, I don't know how to really describe like the art direction in this game, but there's nothing quite like it. It's, in fact, I think overall visually, I much prefer this game over Chrono Trigger. I love the 3D character models. Like, I love the characters themselves and how different they are from one another. It still has like that Final Fantasy VII thing where like the backgrounds, it's hard to tell what you can walk on and what you can't, but it didn't bother me near as much in this game because overall I thought the game was just a fantastic looking game. The frame rate the frame rate's not great, especially in battles. It can chug at times, especially when you've got like this really fancy special effects, which I gotta mention, like the animations in this game and just the spell effects are absolutely crazy. You've got like FMV cutscenes throughout the game too that look great. Overall, it's probably the best looking PS1 game I've played. And you'll see from the gameplay footage. I can't really describe the art direction. It's just so, oh man, it's fantastic. I really just love the art and visuals overall in this game. Music. I don't think anybody can talk about Chrono Cross without mentioning the fucking brilliant music. The music is my favorite part of the game. I mean, I had heard how amazing this Yasunori Mitsuda soundtrack was, and my God, This is now my favorite soundtrack of all time. I mean, every song in this game was amazing. Every song fits the scene it's playing in perfectly. It makes these moments so emotional at times. The mini boss I mentioned before, the song that plays during it is called "Prisoners of Fate," and the first time I heard this song, I was just like, "Holy fuck!" I just like the music combined with the boss battle and the art direction during that boss battle, and just like that whole scene in this game was just mesmerizing, man. Like, there's so many great tracks in this game. I mean, I love the Another World Overmap, the Another World Overworld theme. The Homeworld theme was fantastic. The Dragon God battle theme was so good. I mean, I loved that battle theme so much. You've got Scars of Time, which is like that intro song, which is fucking brilliant. There's so many different styles too with this soundtrack, like so many different musical styles. I really like. I cannot recommend the soundtrack enough. Like, even if you have no interest in playing the game, check out the soundtrack, because my god, like, it's absolute masterpiece of a soundtrack. Like, after playing the game, I just like, went on YouTube and just listened to all these songs. I gotta get this official soundtrack. I gotta buy this soundtrack, because fuck, man. Like, I thought Xenogears had an amazing soundtrack, and Chrono Trigger had an amazing soundtrack. Chrono Trigger was my favorite soundtrack of all time before playing this game. But yeah, this just completely blows those games out of the water as far as soundtrack goes. Yeah, I could talk about it more, but it's something that has to be heard, man. It absolutely blew me away. So yeah, I mean, overall, Chrono Cross left a lasting impression on me. I'm still thinking about it now. It's my second favorite PS1 game at the moment. I still think I preferred Xenogears. That game had, I think I preferred like the themes in that game and the story overall. And actually, I like the battle system in Xenogears better too. But Chrono Cross is a stunning game. And it's a shame, I think people might be scared off of playing it because they hear it's nothing compared to Chrono Trigger or something, which, I don't know, that's a shame. I think you should really give this a chance, especially, like, it's its own thing. I mean, you got to go into it not expecting like a full-blown sequel, although in a way it almost kind of is. I mean, there's a lot of ties to Chrono Trigger here, and I think they're all pretty interesting. But I don't know, I'm confused where like the disappointment comes from, to be honest, compared to Chrono Trigger. I mean, yeah, it's different. It's extremely different, but I mean, I think it's the best they could do, really, with like a follow-up to Chrono Trigger. I mean, it's, I don't, despite like the weaknesses, and I have the complaints with this game, like I've mentioned, but I think the strengths of this game are just so high that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. There's New Game Plus. I forgot to mention that. There's New Game Plus where you can kind of get the characters you missed, and by like the third playthrough, you can have like every character at once. And you can like skip like dialogue really fast and stuff like that. Like, you can skip certain sections like really quick, which is awesome. I thought that was great. I dabbled in New Game Plus very briefly. I'm definitely going to be coming back to this game at some point. Not right away, but I definitely think it's going to hold up in terms of replay value. And like I said before, like 38 hours long. Like, it's a pretty lengthy game too. It's fantastic, man. I gotta say, I was very surprised with this game. Definitely, if you haven't played it, download it on the Vita or PS3. $10 is an absolute steal for this game, man. Even on PS1, it's probably, I think it's like what, $20 or $30 or something, that's pretty cheap for a game like this. But yeah, I think that about covers it. Fantastic game. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to play next. I am kind of in an RPG mood, although I'm kind of just trying to find games to play until Tales of Xillia 2 comes out. Like, there's been no new releases lately, but I don't know what I'm going to play next. But that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.